going on, Degen Nation? Kenny Kim here, bringing you another Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast this week for the CJ Cup. As usual, I'm here with my partner in crime, everybody's favorite Canadian, the GPP King, Tyler Tamboline. Tyler, what is up, my friend?
Oh, you're too much, man. When you come in like that, I know it's going to be a good week, though, because you're at least a little fired up. I know you got stories or topics that you want to talk about, so it's going to be a good show. I want to remind everyone very quickly, this show is brought to you and presented by Prize Picks. Head on over to prizepicks.com. Use promo code MMN. Get yourself a 100% deposit bonus up to $100 on your first deposit. Check that out. We've talked about it plenty of times. It's going to be, like I said, a full segment when we get into the regular season for you guys. But right now with swing season, football, everything in place, just not as much. If you want more Prize Picks and you want to make some money in the interim, you can follow us on this channel. Subscribe here to the Mayo Media Network. I'm doing a free show every Wednesday. Comes out Wednesday afternoon. There's another show on this channel as well with some Prize Picks, some other stuff out there. So you can get that in the meantime. And we'll get into it more when we get into the regular season. But Kenny, good week on the tours. I think we're going to talk about all three today. So I'll let you take it away. But there was a lot happening in the world of golf this week. I know it's football season, but a lot going on.
First off, one of the stories, you can see Tambo right now, if you're watching on YouTube, rocking the full Puma. Full Puma gear. Full Puma gear for Mr. Ricky Fowler. Yeah. Coming in with a couple of top sixes. What did he finish? Like six in his first event of the year?
Yeah.
And he was.
Then he missed the cut and then he bounced back.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's got a little bit of life for Ricky Fowler since he, before the season, he switched clubs, he switched coaches, he switched everything he could fucking switch. He went back to Butch Harmon as his coach.
We're gonna talk about Claude. We're gonna talk about Claude though.
It's Claude, Ricky.
No, he's with Butch. He's with Butch.
Yeah. Well, we will talk about
another guy
Claude.
Is with Claude. Yeah.
We will talk about Claude. Okay, yeah. And so it looks like maybe in these fall swings, maybe Ricky's slowly getting back into his game. But of course, the winner, Kegel Bradley, going out there. No one really felt like they wanted to win the event at the end, but I mean, there was a lot of guys up top that hadn't won in a while. So that's something that you're going to expect in a situation like that, unless you're Tom Kim, who just goes out there and does his thing and doesn't care that he's 20 years old and shouldn't be winning these events. But it was tough for these guys up top to finally win. Keegan finally took advantage of the fact that really nobody was making too many moves. So he just didn't have to make too many mistakes, and that's what he ended up doing for the week. So good win by Keegan. Other guys that were up there. I mean, there were quite a few guys. Personally, for me, not the best week. First losing week in DFS this season. So I'm 3-1. Cash game Cornerstone's not great. It's gonna happen. I'll take a 3-1 record every month for the rest of the season. If that can happen to me every month for the rest of the season, I'll be okay. The funny thing is, I did actually win for the week. I played some rando 3-ball parlay matchup because I was on Twitter, and go follow at PGA Splits 101. Ron, I've been chatting with him a little bit on the DMs. I know he used to be with Roto Grinders. I think the same time we were sponsored by Roto Grinders. I think we both worked for them at the same time. His Twitter feed at PGA Splits 101. He had the non-strokes gain stats, ball striking stats and stuff like that for after the first round. It was either the first or second round. I don't really remember. So I saw like Taylor Moore and Hayden Buckley were just really, really, really strong ball striking. And I think Taylor Moore was the first underdog in the 3-ball, and Buckley was like the third underdog in the 3-ball, or the second underdog in the 3-ball. Parlay that together for it was like plus 750. I ended up winning like $450.
You can tell you really knew what you were doing. You're like stumbling through it all, but you just put together a winning parlay is what you're saying.
It just ended up working. It ended up working. And so because of that, I won I lost like $221 in DraftKings, and I won $227 gambling. $6 win week. I'll take it. Take it. Tambo, what'd you think about the event?
I have a different theory on the Ricky Fowler thing. I know it's going to be the coach back with Butch Harmon, all the swap caddies, all that. But I think the caddy thing is a bigger deal. If you remember way back, we have to go way back when Ricky won the Players Do you remember what had happened the week before? That all the players were surveyed and said that the most overrated player in golf is Ricky Fowler. He goes out and dunks on the players and wins the thing over everybody with I don't care what you say about Ricky. That was definitely one of the better performances that I've ever watched. Like, just watching him take on that 17th hole like he did and then closing it out, to me, was a pretty special moment, special event. I loved it.
It feels like forever ago, doesn't it, though?
It was forever ago. That's why it doesn't just feel like it. But what I will say is this: a lot of comments actually last week are, our boy Tom Kim came through, got the W. Ricky had to go in again. He means well. I'm not saying this way or that way, but Ricky said, like, I got to give a shout out to Joe as well. Joey Scovron, his old caddy, got a shout out to him. But there was some bad comments like, wow, Joe Scovron's going to win more money on Tom Kim's bag than Ricky Fowler's going to win playing in the tournaments. Like, there was some stuff coming out. Like, Ricky was getting ripped in the comments. And I don't know, man, he's been playing good golf. I don't think that's actually it. I just think it's kind of funny that, anytime there's a big comment about Ricky, the bounce back is pretty good. And man, Keegan tried to give him that, bogeyed 14, 16. I know, because I was up till 3:30 a.m. my time watching it close out, because I watched the Padres game on one spot, had the golf on the other. I was like, once the Padres game was over, it was absolutely electric, that game. It was like, watching the other one, I may as well just stay up and just keep it rolling here. So I stayed up. Keegan tried to give it away, but Putnam, guys like that, he was trying, but he wasn't going to get there either. And Ricky lipped out a couple times. He had his chances down the stretch. Definitely one of the saddest Ricky sign-offs on, Ricky's other thing, which feels like way back now, is congratulating the guy at the end. Well, this time he's not waiting for one of his friends off the green. He's on the green because he's there in the group. And it was a pretty sad sign off. He gave Keegan his props, and Ricky's a nice guy. He's going to say like, what's up and congratulations, but you could see it in his face as he was walking off the green. Rightfully so, very disappointed in that, spot. Had a chance to get a W, get back to it. Shout out to Keegan, though. He said he was going to go party it up, stay up through the night to get ready for the Pats game. Like, he was fired up, man. So I think, good to see him win again. Some of the other guys up there, Thigala looked really good, right? Doing his thing, like always. Thigala, to me, I was going to talk about him later in the show, but kind of like Max Homa before Max Homa started winning a bunch. It's like really boom or bust, and this about Thigala, but he just goes off and gets you like that top 5, top 10, whatever. And so when the wins roll in, I think he's another guy that they're going to continue to roll in. Hovland back doing his thing. Xander played like shit, still finished top 10, like what you expect from a guy like him. And then Kita Nakajima, the young gun, man, he was up there top 12 as well. So
hits a Tune or whatever.
Right behind him. Yeah.
Talked about him last week. Yeah. Some of our Japanese guys did well. I myself did the same thing you did. I took a little nap Saturday during the day. Stayed up to watch the CJ Cup. Ended up staying up to watch Live. And I guess I was delirious, because I'll tell you right now, I wrote this on Twitter earlier today. So, I was smoking, and, eating the edibles that night. I was definitely stoned to stay awake and, to be able to do something. If you're up at 3:30 in the morning, more than likely you should be inebriated in some sort of, form. That's just law. That's law. And this morning I wake up and I see like all these like notifications about like scheduled deliveries from Amazon. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck did I order? I had no fucking clue. The iPhone needs to come up with a way to tell, like, how they have the Face ID? They should be able to tell that you're stoned, like, and then restrict access to certain apps. Because I spent $100 on Funyuns, Gushers, and fruit roll-ups. $100 fucking dollars. Like, how do you do that? How do you buy $100 worth of that shit?
Especially when you don't get it right away. Like, you're stoned and you wanted it. So that's why you ordered it. But for next time, like, you're not going to get it tonight.
Well, don't get me wrong. I'm going to fucking crush it. All right. So, I mean, it's going to be fucking put to use. But still, there should never be any reason why a 42-year-old man should buy $100 worth of fucking Gushers ever. So I'm blaming the iPhone for it, because I don't want to blame myself.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That's what you would do. But like you said, you still get to enjoy those next time you get on. It's just funny you had munchies and you go order from Amazon versus hitting up Uber Eats or something like that to get.
Well, it was 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah, so they're open. They're open. There's spots.
Limited. But anyways, so the reason I was talking about that is because it goes up to Live. If you saw Live, which I'm sure no one did. I mean, no one's watching.
The numbers say no one did.
Yeah,
yes.
No, the numbers aren't watching it. I watch it because my favorite golfers play there. It's plain and simple. Dustin Johnson, Cam Smith, Joaquin Neiman, Bryson Koepka. They're my favorite golfers to watch. So I know there's a lot of you that have the political views where, I shouldn't be watching the politics, but it's not easy to give up something you love for something that you don't necessarily see happening in your own scope of the world. Now I know they do horrible shit, and it's a horrible way to think, but I think it's human as well, because it's not like something that I'm just doing for shits and giggles. I've been doing this fucking podcast we're going to be on 8 years now. So, I love this shit, right? You have to know. It's the only reason. It's not like we get paid. It's not like we're making millions. You know what I'm saying? And so, I love this shit. And that's why I do it. And I love those golfers over there that are playing Live. And I'm really pissed off about the whole situation. Now I'm really pissed off because I'm not pissed at Live. I'm not pissed at the golfers that left. I'm pissed at the fact that I don't get to see all these golfers every week. And I blame the PGA Tour for this. And I blame Fincham, and I blame Monahan for not putting the money and doing what they needed to do to keep these players happy. These rumors about the PGA Tour having this dough and not giving it to the players has been ongoing. And it's not a new thing. Phil has been talking behind the scenes about this for a while. And then after everyone left, you saw what the PGA did. They had the dough. They could have kept these guys here, but they didn't do a good enough job, and it didn't react in time. And now we're having a fractured tour, and it fucking sucks. So that's why I watch Live. And so when I watched it, if you watch the event, Brooks Koepka won. Okay, and people are gonna, say what they say. It's not a real win. It's not a true victory. Okay, you believe what you want to believe. But for him, if you watch that event and you watched the interview afterwards, the words out of his mouth, the exact words out of Brooks Koepka's mouth is, "I thought my career was over." That's what he said. Now that makes it makes a lot of sense why he went to Live there. He was not playing well. He was dealing with injury, and he literally thought at one point his career might be done, that he could never, ever win again. And you saw in that interview, I know it's only 48 people. I know it's a glorified exhibition. But honestly, the strength of field, if you look at the top 10 on that leaderboard, crushed the Zozo Cup. Crushed it. I don't give a fuck what you say. These guys are past their prime. They're not. I mean, look at Brooks. The thing about it is even Tiger had a 3-year window where he didn't win a major, where he struggled, 2002 to 2005. This happens. We're in that same situation with Brooks, where he has struggled for the past 3 years at majors. And this is a big moment for him. People are going to laugh. That's why I didn't post this on Twitter. I didn't want to take the shit people were going to say. But if you watch that interview and you see the emotion rising up, he needed that win. He needed that win for his career. And not about the money, just beating good players in a three-round event. Now, you can say he didn't really win. It was only 3 rounds. Okay, then. Going into the lead in the final group, going into a possible fourth round, if they play, if that's the way you want to think about it. Very, very big deal. Very big moment for him. Very big deal in golf, because Koepka, when he was in the majors and he was balling out, he drew. Like, people loved watching him. It wasn't that fucking long ago. And if he can get back to that type of form, and I think he needs to play a bit more competitive events outside of Live to really get into the majors, like type of groove, like what Atogwe is doing out there. We're going to talk about him in a second. I think that, this is a big moment for Brooks. It's a big moment for him to get into the majors. Hopefully the World Golf Championships, the majors do the right thing and let the Live guys play, because if they don't, and we don't get to see these guys all play together at some point in time, it is horrible for golf. Horrible for golf. Okay? So I want to see it done, and this is a big step, big moment for Brooks Koepka, even if you don't think it is. What do you think about Live?
I think, you nailed it at the end. Like I said, it was almost crying. It's definitely still something. Like, we've been saying this since day one. We're not promoters of it or something like that. And I know people get so political on this that I don't even like getting into it.
Me neither. It's just my favorite golfers play over there. That's it.
It's painful. But what I'm saying is, I guess what I'll say is that, they play 3 rounds, so be it. All I'll say is this, it's a far cry from Rory McIlroy saying, what, is Greg Norman going to go play? This thing's dead in the water. It's not. Brooks Koepka, Neiman, Casey, DJ, Wolf, like you name it. There's Abe Answer. You don't like any of these guys, whatever, but they're all up there on the board. They're still hard guys to beat coming down the stretch of a tournament. Doesn't matter if it's round 3 instead of round 4 or shotgun start versus regular setup. There is lots of differences. We don't love it. I would have preferred everything stayed together. But what we said from day one, Kenny, and we've been on this harping it, is that everyone trying to stop it. You have no power to stop the Saudi government investment fund, etc., from pouring all this money into something if they want to. So you can be against it. But if you choose like us to embrace it and still witness it and still watch some of our guys that we like and be involved in it that way, we're not doing a live show. We're just mentioning what we saw over the weekend like we always do. That's why we have timestamps. If you don't like it, you can skip ahead. But the point being, he still had to battle, man. He took Peter Uihlein in a playoff, right? Had to go through it. Uihlein was hitting some incredible shots.
Yeah, the skull on that playoff hole sucked, man. I felt bad for him about that.
That is still, Kenny, competition. Yeah. Like everyone can say what you're classifying the event of because of whatever else and the money, like it's still huge money they're playing for in a playoff down the stretch. That's legit money for them to go and get. So, man, I don't know. Like that is where you see the emotions, you see the comments, you see the battle to get to it. That is still competition. You can call it, it's an exhibition on paper. That's why they're not getting points, but it's a competition down the stretch to win a golf tournament that all these guys started in the same. DJ, Cam Smith. You can't say nothing about Cam Smith, right? Like you can't tell me this ain't real golfers when they have Cam Smith. The guy legit took out Rory at the Open, hunted him down on a crazy Sunday at St. Andrews, the home of golf, took it from him. And then Rory goes in a car in tears, emotion, same thing, because it was such a big loss, and goes from there after he did the interview. So shout out to Rory. And I love Rory. I'm saying my point being that's competition. That's real battle. It's for something bigger. That is a major. It's definitely bigger than live. But when I'm saying it like with Brooks Koepka
PGA Tour is bigger than live. A win on the PGA Tour.
No doubt about that.
I will say that.
There's no doubt about that. But
the only thing is
saying, and others won't admit or get to the point of, is that we can't control it. If you want to ignore watching it and talking about it on your content or on your stuff or on Twitter and all that and talk shit, you can do that. You're entitled to it. But we're entitled to the other side of it too. And all we're saying is we're not sitting out running here cutting everybody off saying, go live, go. We're cheering for this tour now. That's not what we're saying. We're willing to accept that it does exist and still talk through it in that aspect. And I thought it was big, man. Brooks Koepka still got a W. He was almost crying. He was talking about, like you said, his career almost being over. He got the money, he got the bag, but he still has to go out and play and do it. And like I said, I don't know what you think on this, and we can move on to the next point, but I don't think the majors are cutting these guys off. I don't care what anybody says. I also think they're getting points, whether they have to add a round and a cut to get them. Yeah. I think they're getting them. And everything that anyone has said to talk shit keeps getting shut down. Oh, this ain't going to happen. Then it did. Oh, they're not going to get that guy. Then they did. Oh, they're not getting any more guys though. I think more guys are going still. And we're waiting to see. One of them I actually think is in this field is Mito Pereira. People think it's so safe. They're so happy. No, I think he's grinding it out and getting in as many events as he has to right now before going and joining
points.
Neiman and his buddies and everyone that's over there that he wants to go join. He's just probably part of quote unquote season 2. He probably joins then and then it's over and he moves on, and that's fine. Then you'll write him off like he sucks anyway because he couldn't win a major and he didn't close. Like you got something to say about, you don't have anything to say about someone until they go and then they're your enemy or something. I don't work in life like that. I say it all the time, even in the daily fantasy space and sports in general. Like this is just way too small a zone to have these people that can go back and forth and these back and, this crazy stuff people get mad at everyone about and talk so much shit. It's the same thing in golf. Like you love a guy, everyone loved Cam Smith. And then if you were hard and fast against Liv when he went, now you had to not like the guy because he went to the other side. I just don't work like that personally.
And that's the reason, like literally DJ's my favorite golfer.
Yeah.
I mean, he's my favorite golfer in the world.
Yeah.
So I'm going to watch. I love Patrick Reed. You guys have listened to the pod enough where you know I'm pro villain. I can't watch. I got to watch him. I have to because they're my favorite guys. It sucks that they're gone.
It's the same. I don't know. I guess I'm more like used to it now because in the fantasy space, for example, I'm a Ravens fan, as many know. I love the Lakers in the NBA. If you don't know, like these are my teams. But when you get involved in fantasy, and I know it's different, but in like just an example though, where you come sort of insensitive to it, you're like, I like my guy. So just because if you love Dustin Johnson as a golf fan out there, and now you can't love him because he went to live, that to me is crazy. Like you don't have to support everything that they stand for and what they do. I don't.
I do not.
I'm saying that it's a golfer that you followed. You mentioned earlier, it's hard to sort of back yourself away from that and just say, okay, I'm a huge golf fan. So I'm like, look at this show. I'm a degenerate. Like it literally the name of the show. But now I'm going to write off all these golfers that I've known and loved for years just because they went to another tour that is backed by something that's, in some cases evil. Right. So that's my point. So it's tough. I get it. And I feel that too. But I also understand why people are saying I'm still okay with it. As far as like the live bots, all that shit go, just fuck off. Right. We don't get, I don't need to post something and have 100 people attack it from one way or the other. That's the most annoying part of it all. But it was happening. We knew it was happening. That's all we've said since day one.
And then the final topic before we move on to this week is Adrian Otagwe winning in Valderrama by 6 strokes, shooting -19 on one of the most difficult tracks on the European tour, and he played live. So it's technically the first live a Rebel has won a DP World Tour event. Now he only played like the first 3 events. We don't know what his future is with live, but he was suspended by the DPT or the DP World Tour for joining live for those 3 events. Now they signed that, they did that appeal to the court, which is going to be heard in early 2023. Now, at this point in time, Adrian Otagwe is the 6th. He has the final automatic qualifier spot for the Ryder Cup at this moment in time. He's been playing a lot of Euro Tour events since he played those 3 live events, and he's gotten himself up to number 6. So it is possible that if the arbitrator rules in Liv's favor and people can play DP World Tour events, well, first off, the DP World Tour is going to get a lot of more pub because you're going to see Breed, you're going to see Brooks, you're going to see Bryson, you're going to see, I don't know about DJ. DJ might really honestly not even give a fuck about majors. We'll see what he thinks about that. You'll see them. That's the way that, we'll see them play those events, either just to get competitive in those things, to get higher world golf points, to get reps in like a legit field. I mean, I say that, but the field in live is so much better right now than both tours, at least this past week.
Yeah, not this week. Not this week. It wouldn't.
Not this week. This week. So pretty big stuff. A lot of crazy stuff going around. And fucking Freddie Couples. Winning the goddamn senior event, beating his age by 3 strokes.
60.
The smooth Freddie shooting a 60 on Friday or on Sunday to win an event. 60. He's 63. What a week in golf. A lot of great stuff. A lot of good stuff happening. If you're just a golf fan, this weekend was big. This weekend was a lot of good shit that happened.
And the Netflix documentary has to be coming out soon.
It has to.
Like it's got to be dropping soon.
Those documentaries on Netflix too. I just watched Redeem Team. I was literally I was shattered in tears the whole fucking show because all they did was show Kobe. God damn it, I miss Kobe.
Yeah.
I miss Kobe. I will never ride in a helicopter. I still can't believe he's dead. I was an emotional wreck watching that fucking documentary prior to football on Sunday because I've been up all day, so all night because watching the golf. And God, man, it was
such a good really documentary though. Like it really was. It was well put together. It was solid.
I'll never be able to watch it again.
Yeah.
It just hurts too much seeing Kobe on my TV. It just pains, bringing me tears right now because I love that man on the basketball court. He was one of the best.
And off. Oscar winner as well.
Off. He had some issues. People can talk about his problems.
Yeah, I mean that's something else. But I'm talking about from the standpoint of how skilled and everything was. Like went and won an Oscar as well. Like, come on, this guy is very talented. Obviously, a lot of people have different things on and off the court or on and off their their jobs, their families, their situation. He did some bad shit. But there's another example, Kenny. Like the guy did something extremely bad, but Tiger Woods is that prime example, and everyone's still got Tiger back. Like it happens. People make mistakes. Kobe was the man, no doubt. Yeah, missed the guy for sure.
All right, so we went a little overboard on the preview. Let's get to the listener league for this past week. The winner was Joey Z43. He hit us up on Twitter. I guess he was like close to using third place before he fell asleep, woke up to the win. So congratulations. He has the Moosonomics logo, the Fantasy National Golf Club logo. So we're always a fan. You know, when I started working with Moose? 2016. I used to work with him when the first edition of Moosonomics ever came out. It changed everything. It literally changed the whole landscape of fantasy golf. Proud to be a part of, what was it, Project Roto, or I was working with somebody back. I think it was Project Roto. And I was working with Project Roto back in 2016, and Moose had just started the Moosonomics. I was one of the first people to use it for free because I didn't have to pay for the site. It's literally changed everything. Anyways, let's go to the lineup. Yeah, Mr. Tom Kim. Love it. 19% owned. He finished in 25th. Victor Hovland with a pretty good week, 18.5% owned again. He finished in, I think, top 5, if I'm not mistaken. He had 5th place. Keegan Bradley, he had the winner. Matthew Neesmith, another pretty solid week out there with another top 10. The guy has been playing excellent golf, 15% owned. Keegan was 16% owned as well. Stephen Yeager, 12% owned. He finished in 40th. And Hayden Buckley, what a week for him. Nice little punt play for him at $6,800, 12% owned again. And he finished in the top 5. Everybody double-digit owned. What'd you think?
Yeah, they thought it was still good. I mean, that's the one thing we always say.
I don't think it was necessarily chalk, right? It was just in our tournament, we had these guys double-digit owned. I don't think they were double.
Yeah, even if it was, like I said, even in the other stuff, it was like 9% or whatever. It's again, it goes back to the same thing I always say. It's not who you play, it's how you play them. There was a lot of guys up top that you could have played. He started his lineup with Tom Kim and Hovland. So that's just swapping out the roster construction to say, I'm willing to risk losing out on those guys at the top. And in the end, the $8,900 guy in Keegan is the one that actually came through. So 2 9Ks, an 8K, 2 7s, and a high 6. Again, a $6,800 guy can basically be treated like a $7,000 guy. They just don't put as many people at those prices. They have to space it out somehow. Overall solid. Even then, it was like 18-18, 15-14, 11-11. Like, it's not really, a super chalk lineup, but just the way it shakes out and looks on paper. But a solid lineup. Nonetheless, won by over 10 points. So very solid from Joey Z43. We will see him in the 3-man this week.
All right, so let's get to this week. The PGA Tour is going to head over to South Carolina this week. It's going to be at Congaree Golf Course. Congaree is so this, once again, 78-man, no-cut event. Congaree is 7,600 yards around there. Par 71, 3 par 5s, 4 par 3s. The length looks pretty shocking, but it won't play that long, as the course is known for being super firm and super fast. You're going to get a shit ton of rollout up on here, even in wetter conditions. Now, it's only been played. There's only been one event played here, and that was Palmetto at Congaree in 2021. It's going to be hard to judge a lot from that one instance there because of all the rain that they had prior to the event. Now, it was still pretty firm. Out there, and it's still really tough conditions out there, even with the softness that the course sort of had. It didn't have the softness that like a normal course would have with that deluge of rain. Now, this is the second time it has not rained as much going into this event, and it's also played in a much different time of the year. So you could take a little bit off of what happened. Basically, when you saw what happened and you saw the leaderboard of Palmetto, it was bombers and it was shorter hitters with exceptional long iron play. Those are the ones that probably you can get on there that would do well. Like if you're going to roster a guy that's in the bottom half, I mean, again, short sample, so I could be wrong, but based on what I saw, if you're gonna roster a guy in the bottom half of driving distance, he should be in the upper half of longer irons. That's just my take. If you're going to go with a shorter hitter, who I think, like I said, are live. There's plenty of guys who are short and can play those long irons because that's the only way they've been able to compete throughout their PGA Tour career. So it's just something to think about when you're looking through it. Now, this place does have a slight links feel to it. Like I said, short hitters still viable. with the, even with the 600 plus yard par fives and two 520 plus yard par fours. Strong iron play will be needed. Off the tee, golfers will see wide tree-lined fairways with no rough. Okay, native sandy areas are in play, like they were in Kiawah. You saw, that same year for the PGA Championship. Now, in these sandy native areas, you're going to be allowed to ground your club. It's basically like playing in the rough. Now, the issues I saw on this course with the sand. There's like a 4-minute video on the PGA Tour's YouTube page about all the horrible bunker shots from this tournament in 2021. What I noticed on these bunker shots was a lot of the sand, the textures were different depending on where you were. Some was hard pan, some was medium pan, some was super, super soft. The bunker play and the sand play, it's going to be tough. You got to be good at that. Personally, what I think. Now, you should definitely see a ton of drivers off the tee. With the wide fairways and the length of this course, it's going to be driver fucking heavy. Now, on approaches, golfers will see large undulating greens, elevated with runoff areas and sandy native areas surrounding them. A lot of these greens, and if they play as firm as, this is going to cause issues, because a lot of these greens, when you hit them up to the green, they have these roll-off areas that roll directly into hazards, either the sandy native areas or traps or water. Another thing I noticed about this course is in these sandy native areas, it's not just sand. It has these little patches of like 6-inch little patches of like this high grass that's not wispy. It's actually sort of thick. And you saw a lot of golfers like roll their balls right next to it. It's like just a little patch of grass that sticks out of the sand. But there's a lot of these. It caused a bunch of problems, a shit ton of problems for a lot of golfers at Congaree in 2021. And it was one of the most difficult courses on tour, non-major that year, playing like 0.2 strokes above par per round or something like that with the average. So it was like top 10, like most difficult course on tour back then. If I remember correctly, the winning score was -15, I think. Don't quote me on that.
I thought it was like -11.
Okay, it could have been. Yeah, it could have been
11 under for Higo, right?
Yeah. So because of these runoff areas, you're going to see a lot of putters from the greens this last week. You saw a lot of Texas wedge. You saw a lot of Ryan Palmer shots type out there. In that tournament. So you're going to see that around the green play. I think that makes it a little bit easier because you could putt, up onto these greens. Now, hold on, I just lost my place. Now, basically that's going to be the majority of the course. Bermuda grass greens, they're going to play firm, they're going to play fast, and so that's something that you got to think about with these approaches, and you got to check the weather. Like I said, supposedly this course can handle the rain. It did pretty well the last time out. I think this course is going to play firm. I think it's going to play fast. It's going to be a good challenge out there for these guys. Tambo, what are you looking for in golfers?
You listed it really well, actually. So the biggest thing is just, the strength of field. Like we talked about it last time. I'll go back to it. So I just pulled it up from, but Higo, Redmond, Vegas, Bo Van Pelt, Hudson Swafford, Tyrrell Hatton, who we'll talk about, Chesson Hadley, Ryan Armour, and David Lipsky. That's the top 9 guys because it's T8 and above, and then everyone's T10 or worse. But just to give an idea, like we got a way stronger field here, right? So I think we see the scores lower. I still think it is firm and fast. Again, it's like a sandbelt style course, as you mentioned. So when you've got all the sand, dries it out anyway. So I think just in the sense of that, you're going to see.
One thing I did forget to mention is a Fazio course, and then Fazio actually was influenced by a lot of the Australian courses down there, like where they play the Australian Open or Answer one, where you see those type of sandy waste areas and stuff like that. He said he got a lot of influence from that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's what I mean. So just looking at that, again, it's going to come down to that. And you can't really take a lot away from what we saw at the Palmetto. Like you mentioned, different time of year, different caliber of field. Like I just said, all of that in line. So a lot of this is going to have to do with pricing, ownership. It's a no cut. You're going to want guys that can score for sure. But I mean, just look for the birdie makers. They'll take the ones that are available to them. And I do think it's going to be a better score, that like a lower score, I should say, than 11 under. I see like 15 under, 16 under, something like that, just based on the talent. So I'm not saying there's gonna be a birdie fest, but I'm saying there's gonna be more scoring than what I think it may reflect, even with it being firm and fast. These guys are just so good. Again, you want to write off Liv? Look at Peter Uihlein out of the bunkers and stuff like that. Like, guys can make some pretty great shots. And here's the talent. Here's 17 of the world's top 25. So I definitely think we're going to see some good golf here. And
Go check that YouTube video out, though. I mean, dude.
Yeah. Oh,
it
yeah.
had like the funny, like, not the Benny Hill music in the background, but like some like comedic wah 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 type of music in the background. It just showed every single one of these guys duffing or sculling all these fucking sand shots. It was crazy.
It's going to be fun, man. I think it's going to be great. And again, we got the talent here, so it's going to be the best event so far that we've seen.
It's going to be the best event of the fall.
Yeah.
The rest of the events are going to suck. This one's going to be the pinnacle of the fall.
Bermuda Championship and Mayakoba are up 1 and 2 after this. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can hop into it. Let's do it.
So let's go to the tiers. Let's start off on the top ranks. We got JT all the way to Rory. What you doing?
Yeah, it's tough, man. I think it's the obvious two up top, Rory and Rahm. I wonder if Rahm gets squeezed just a little bit, only because when you look at the stats, like we talked earlier, you look at Fantasy National, you've got Rory and Scheffler pop off the page. Scheffler is number 1. Rory's just $200 more. So feels like at least if nothing else, Rahm could get held in check. And when you think about a situation like this, 4 full days, just the magic around the guy just won in Spain. Like, he's got the full all-around game. So I would expect Rory to be popular, and for good reason. The guy has just been crushing it, almost a top 5 machine when you look around what he's been doing in all these events. Some of them were backdoors like classic Rory. Others, he just did his thing. But the point being, he's been in the mix in all of these tournaments. So it's hard to get away from him. I like Rory, Rahm, and Scheffler. And, JT, I like him, but his CJ Cup wins were definitely not at this course. So I'm not factoring that in. Maybe him and Scheffler have a little rust. Haven't seen them for a little bit since the President's Cup. But just to say, in general, the other thing, Kenny, is there is guys in the 6K range that are definitely playable when you're getting 4 full rounds. So I am going to live a little bit more up here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet in the 9K range. Might just build some accordingly. But for me, those are the guys up top that I like the most.
I'm playing Rory and Rahm, fading JT and Scheffler. Rory and Rahm have gotten the reps. They've been playing competitive golf since the end of last season. Because the thing is, you got to figure out what you want from these guys, because all 4 of these guys are great players. You have to find a reason to not play them. And that is my reason, basically. I mean, they can win. Of course, they can go in there, do their thing. But I like the fact that Rory and Rahm have been playing competitive golf a little bit more. Rahm with that win, of course. And then, Rahm is my first cash game cornerstone. I'm going to start with John Rahm. He's coming off a win over across the pond. He's been playing competitive golf. He had sort of a down year last year, if you want to call it that, with 1 loss. I think he picks it up this year. I think it's a big season for Rahm. We see another multiple victory season for the Spaniard. And this is the first one. I am betting him at 9-1 as well. He's going to be my bet, 9-1. I'm not even going to do my usual cash game thing where I use him in cash and only play him 20%. I'm playing 30% Rahm. I'm playing 40 to 45% Rory. 75% of my lineups are going to start in that place. Now you look at Scheffler, the guy is amazing, but his weakness, if there is one, is the bunker play. Not the greatest out of the bunker. And there's a shit ton of fucking sand here. If he avoids the bunkers, he can win.
Yeah, he might just avoid them. Yeah, that might be it.
That could happen easily. The guy is an amazing player. Justin Thomas, another amazing player. I know Bamford's been tipping him. I know a lot of other guys have already tipped JT. And I can't argue against that fact. The only thing I could say is I'd rather have guys that have been playing competitive golf for, in the last 6 weeks, more. And JT and Scheffler haven't, except for the President's Cup. They haven't played. It's going to be their first event, possibly their only event of the fall. Can they win? Yes. But you got to put your foot down when it comes down to these top guys at some point in time. And so I'm going to play Rahm. I'm going to play Rory. And if we move down a little bit, I'm going to play Matthew Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick, the one thing that has really improved his game. When you first thought of Fitzpatrick about 3-4 years ago, you're thinking shorter hitter, short game putting. That's what he did. The dude is pretty fucking long now. he's added like 15, 20 yards to his drive. The guy's pounding it out there every fucking time. That has really made his game a little bit more complete because his longer iron play was not the greatest. And, it was good. It was good. But you'd much rather have mid to short irons on any type of hole than like, a 5 or 4 iron or whatever out there. And I like Fitz. Give me Fitz in the 9K range. And then we'll go ahead and do my second cash game cornerstone. It's going to be Max Homa. Pretty good on Bermuda. Going into this neck of the woods. He's familiar in North Carolina, where he's won twice in the Carolinas in the past couple of years. Iron game has been decent, above average. It hasn't been like the best, but a ton of birdies, putting it very well. Excellent on long par fours. Does the bogey avoidance thing. Good with his longer irons. And he's coming off a victory, and his baby is due in a week. So, that's a little bit of a risk factor, if the baby comes early, but hopefully that does not happen. And he goes out there and plays for, his newborn. You're getting that nappy factor in, and then you start fading him once he has the baby, and he has to deal with, 8 hours of crying baby a night. But for now, we play Homa. I like Victor Hovland as well. I'll be playing Victor. He played well last week. Again, another Euro who has played a lot of competitive golf. Give me Victor also in the 9K range, Tamil.
Oh, you were hinting at a Max has to go Homa withdrawal here based on the baby halfway through this tournament or something after he's crushing out of the gate, because that kills me. I actually love him. I think he makes perfect sense. He'll be popular, but he should be. He's 9,100 here. He's won more tournaments than most of these guys throughout the season. So, I mean, it just all around good golfer, makes sense for the course. I like it if it's fast and firm for him. I like that better. So I think he's good. I loved your Fitzpatrick call, but also T10 at the Palmetto. But I just think more of when you think of this type of course and the all around, and there's an uglier name down there a little bit that we'll get to in a minute that suits this as well. Talking about Magic and Magic Beans. You can probably guess who I'm talking about, but Fitzpatrick has those and he's got much better in other aspects of his game, like you said. And then Sung Jae, I'm going to stick with him here. I know Burns looks good. Bermuda Burns, Hovland, incredible. Just came T5, all of that. But for me, I'm going to stick with Sung Jae. I'm a Sung Jae truther. I think when you're talking about hitting the fairways, getting it up and down, all of those factors, I really just like Sung Jae's game. And again, we weren't saying earlier it's going to go to 21 or 22 under or something here. I think 15, 16 under, maybe it's higher scoring than that, even like it goes closer to that 12, 13 number. I think that's where I want a guy like Sung Jae, more of that. We saw him. It was a lower score there, but at the Honda, Kenny, where you have to be perfect pretty much around there. And there's another guy later I like from that spot as well. But Sung Jae for sure. So Fitzpatrick, Sung Jae, Homa are the three that stand out to me here in this 9K range.
All right, 8K range. I got to play my boy Tom. He likes the Carolinas, right? I mean, the guy won. The guy won in Wyndham. The guy balled the fuck out in Charlotte. Carolina seemed like a thing. Now, this is definitely not the type of course that those two courses were.
I think he's just good at golf. It doesn't matter where you play him. But
I think so too. I think he's just good at golf. I'm going to play Tom. That's just the way it's going to be. But my third cash game cornerstone was a little bit of a disappointment last week. And so, maybe he'll be lower owned, but he's a lot cheaper this week. And I think, maybe he himself was knocking off a little bit of rust. Mr. Cameron Young at $8,600, who's just going to pound the ball out there and have, 7 iron or shorter on the, all those long par fours. He's going to pound it out there. Good short game. Good putting. You can count on him to be a hot putter. Again, his distance is always straight, and he's really, really good from over 200 yards. I think he's top 10 in this field in the last 50 rounds from 200 plus. So go ahead and give me Cam Young, and I like Shane Lowry down here at $8,200. Again, approach game strong, tee to green strong. Good on longer par fours. Second in bogey avoidance in the field in the last 50 rounds. Excellent out of the sand. Excellent out of the sand. If he does miss and hit it into one of those, I think it was some ridiculous hundreds of acres of sand on that course. So like I said, you see sort of a theme going with my guys. Lots of Euros. I like Euros this week. Let's go, Tambo.
Yeah, I like 5 or 6 guys in this range. So, I was lighter in the 9K, only like half them up top, only 2 or 3, depending on how it shakes out in my pool. But in this range, it looks pretty good. Tom Kim, who you mentioned, hard to go away from. The price seems crazy when you think about it. I guess it's not really when you think 9,200 at some of these events with weaker fields. So maybe it is technically still priced up when you factor in the guys that are above him now. But on that same token, again, the course seemingly would set up well for him. You talked a little bit about the Carolinas and stuff. I was joking, but I mean, you're right. It does work out that he has been good there too. But other guys in this range, Hatton, second to the Palmetto last year, but I like him better on these styles of courses, right? Like this is sort of, the fairways are wide. He can put it out there, get it up and down, be able to find his way around. He's still a little bit more creative than people probably think. Linksy style, like that is what suits him. So I love that. Lowry was the guy I was mentioning earlier. Obviously, Sepp took it away from him, had that unlucky weather at the Honda. And again, I'm not calling that a comp course. I'm just saying I like the courses where you play in tougher fields that you have to be pretty much perfect and solid for all the rounds to get through it. And that's what Lowry can do. The stats bear out as well. He looks pretty solid on the stats board. The other guys that I'll take shots on in here, Kenny, Cam Young, a little bit of flop lag, did poorly last week when everyone was on him, myself included. So I'll go back to the well. Why go away now? 8,600. Taylor Montgomery, maybe he won't be as popular for once, just based on the fact you have real guys, Lowry, the Hattons, the Tom Kims, all these guys. And we're going to name, the next range has guys in that upper 7K range that people will be playing. So if nothing else, kind of like the Rom situation up top, not saying he won't be popular. You can still build with them and get different elsewhere, but maybe kept in check versus what we've seen at some of these other events for Taylor Montgomery. And then lastly, I hinted at it earlier, but the Magic Beans, Spieth, another guy, man, doesn't matter what you do. He can just find his way around any course. He has the around the green game. The putter has been hot lately. He's got the putter back. So President's Cup, he was draining everything. I'm not expecting that, but just an example where you find a guy like him, he could definitely find his way around here. And doesn't Spieth have, you mentioned those Australian Opens and stuff. Doesn't he have a good history at those?
I'm not sure. I mean, the guys that I know that have won those Aussie ones are all in live. Answer and HV3. Are the two guys that I remember vividly winning that Aussie Open. And of course, they don't play for the PGA Tour anymore.
Yeah, Jordan Spieth won the Australian Open for the second time in a thrilling 3-man playoff at the Royal Sydney Golf Club. So again,
well, you talked me into him. He was off my radar, but you just talked me into Spieth.
I just think it's interesting if you could find something like that. Again, it's way back in the day. It doesn't have anything to do with right now, but it's still Jordan Spieth. He's still 8,800. He still suits the course in my opinion. So I'm okay with it here. I think he can make birdies too. So we're good with him. That's sort of the 5 or 6 guys in the range that I'll be considering.
Let's go to the 7K range. Tambo, why don't you get it started?
Yeah, tough to go away from Grillo right off the top. Grillo's right there. Another guy, almost like when everyone said Svensson, I'm using a different guy, a totally different situation. But remember when Adam Svensson, everyone's like, yeah, if only he could find a putter. And then everyone was like, look at the fucking stats. He's been gaining on putting for 9 events straight. And everyone's like, what? He has.
Same with
like,
Grillo.
shit,
that's Grillo.
That's Grillo right now. It's like, oh, but he can't putt. It's like, well, go look. He actually has been putting well. So
that's why he's had like 3 top 10s in his last 6 events or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. I haven't looked, but I mean, just off the top of my head, that's what I remember.
Yeah, he's underpriced. He's definitely been doing fine. Again, it's Grillo. You want to worry about if he gets super high owned, so keep that in mind. Wise, another guy, he'll get popular. He always gets the late love, but he looks good on paper at least and can make the birdies. So I have no problem sliding him in if you're going to at least be unique somewhere else in your lineup. I think some of the other guys here, Harmon, Hoagie, Mito, who we talked about, and then Cam Davis will be popular. Fleetwood makes some sense. I guess if everyone's going to play Cam Davis and Mito and guys like that in there, you could take some shots on Fleetwood. He definitely sets up. He was T35 at the Palmetto. Not that reason why, but you go back to that same idea of harder fields, Linksy style courses. Like this is what Fleetwood does. So I think he would make sense at 7,600 as sort of a pivot if others are playing the guys above and below him. And then just to keep it going and go through some more, just the last $7,400 guys, Putnam and Fowler stand out, but I don't know if we just keep playing them or not. Like they literally just both lost.
Jason Day is interesting. He played pretty well his last time out, if I remember.
Yeah.
He had a decent finish.
Play that Australian angle too. I mean,
didn't he play well here too? Like the last time? I could be wrong about that.
did he play here?
I don't remember.
No, I don't think. Maybe he did, and I'm wrong. I don't know.
I don't remember. But I think Day's
so.
interesting down there. You've seen him have flashes here recently, and at that price, you might want to take risks. But up top, I like Aaron Wise. the birdie machine. It's going to be 4 rounds. You don't have to worry about a cut. The guy just makes a ton of birdies, really strong from 200 plus. So he should have a slight advantage on some of those par 5s and those long ass fucking par 4s. Long iron play is pretty good. So I like Aaron Wise. I like Hollywood Hoagie. Grew up about 3 hours away from the course. He should have some nice little fanfare, but it's not too close where he's going to have like 1,000 of his friends show up. So that could be a good thing for Hoagie. He's been playing pretty well. I mean, 3 straight top 12s, 3 straight top 15, something around there. The guy's been playing good golf. At that price, I'll go ahead back to the well. Mito, flop lag, maybe his ownership goes down, and we can get him at 10%, 11% instead of 15, 18, 20 that we've seen him here recently. So I like Mito. I think Fleetwood finally is priced where he probably should be priced, and he's actually, the books actually have the correct number on him. 80-1 is what I got for Fleetwood. I know he's never won here, but I've never in my life seen an 80-1 number for Tommy Fleetwood, even in events like this. I was like, what the fuck? I'm just going to go ahead and click this. Jesus Christ, 80-1. And then so basically I just threw $13 down the drain because I'm trying to win, $1,000 on my bets. So I probably just wasted $13, but I had to do it, at that price. Other guys, let's go down below. Cameron Davis is going to be very, very popular. I like him, but if he's like 25% owned, game theory play might be worth, giving the fade, because it's not like Rory who's going to be 30%. I don't give a fuck if he's 80%. I'll play him. You know what I'm saying? Because he's Rory. This is Cam Davis. He's good, but he ain't Rory. And if he's 25% projected owned, might think about switching him out for a guy like Giuseppe Straka with 3 top 6s on Bermuda greens in his last 3 times on Bermuda. So give me a little Giuseppe out there in the lower range. I'm going to be a fan of him down here. I'm going to play a lot of Giuseppe down here. One guy who I want to play, but I just can't, is SH Kim. I've been riding him the whole time. He's been on the tour. I'm going to fade him this week. I don't feel the Korean angle this week, guys. I feel the European angle this week. That is what I'm going to go with, because the reason why he's been playing, majority of his starts have been over across the pond in Asia. I don't know how familiar he's going to be on a course like this. Right. I just don't think he's ever. I just don't know how familiar he'll be. Totally going no news or no facts about this. Just typically from the top of my head, I don't think he would be comfortable on a course like this with his type of game that features so much short game, and not this type of short game. Texas wedge is going to be the right play. As you get right, so I don't know how familiar he is with that. So that's one guy I'm fading. It sucks, but I'm going to fade him. I like Kurt Kitayama. Nice little bounce back last week. Could go ahead with a little length. Steve Bamford tipped him. So, guys sharper than me tips Kitayama. I could go ahead and use him at $7,100 down here. You know what? I think I might go back to Davis Riley at 7K this week. He's been sort of on a downward trend, but one of his strengths is long iron play. So maybe he can get back on track at a very reduced price. So I can give Davis Riley another shot. Anybody in this lower 7K range, go ahead.
Would you like it better if I told you he was actually 6,900? Nice.
I like it. I thought he was 7. Nice.
There you go. Nice number. So yeah, I think what's funny is, I literally had nothing coming in on this, and I still don't think it's comparable, but the guys that I keep liking and mentioning, my favorite guy down here is actually Keith Mitchell, who was, now we're talking Keith on Bermuda, the overall upside, the skill, the 4 days playing, all that, but he was greenside to congratulate Giuseppe Straka at the Honda for the tournament that he had previously won at the Honda. So maybe there is this little narrative.
Honda correlation?
Well, I'm just making it up, but it's just funny. The guys that I like have all sort of went good at that.
The Korean sponsors, not a fan of that correlation.
Yeah. Well, either way,
I can tell you that right now.
We can plug it in. So yeah, a couple of the guys, Henley was one down here that I like. JT Poston, Kurt Kitayama. I was with you on both of those, and not really much else. Straka, I was with you on, but going into the 6K range, I'll start us off because I was going to talk about Davis Riley. Definitely. I mean, at least in DFS at $6,900.
Mm-hmm.
I actually considered Kenny. I haven't done it yet. He's 100-1. I know it's been bad, and I know this field is the strongest one, but the thing is that we've seen crazier shit happen. And all season long, we said Davis Riley's going to get his W in the swing season. You'd love to see it at 100-1 and not. I mean, it almost going back to Honda vibes, nothing to do with the Honda, but Keith Mitchell was somebody that I bet forever and did not bet at like 150-1. Maybe it was bigger, but I seen a lot of people had it at 150-1 when he won at the Honda. And I was so disappointed in myself. And the only reason I had really went away was because of strength of field. And at that time, he wasn't, and he still is not that dude. So it wasn't like I was like, oh, Keith Mitchell, I got to just keep riding him. But Davis Riley, who we expect to be that good, who guys like Will Zalatoris tell you that it's not a matter of if, but when you will see Davis Riley as a top 10 player in the world. Why would we not be considering that now? So at 6,900, at least do that. I'm actually considering getting like a 100-1 with the 8 places or something like that. I may just bet it now that I've talked myself into it, but just an example where sometimes you don't want to go away from it and you'll be more pissed off that you missed on the 100-1 for his first win than if you said like he's 20-1 in a stupid event where we're super, the weak strength of field and you're like, who cares? I didn't bet him. At least then it said 20-1. You didn't miss much. You miss him at 100-1. That's your chance to get right. So yeah, I've talked myself into it. I'm going to roll with him. Go ahead. Give me what you got in the 6K range.
Yeah, my final cash game cornerstone is going to be Trey Mullinax. I mean, if you look at his last 12 rounds or something like that of recorded strokes gained, the guy's like top 5 in this field in my stat model. I'm just going to go ahead and take that with his length off the field and birdie prowess. I'm going to use him as my punt play in cash so I can afford Young, so I can afford, Homa, and so I can afford Rom. In this field, those 3 guys, give me Trey Mullinax to go ahead. So those are my cash game cornerstones right there. Rom at 10, whatever. My mind just went blank. Homa
Mullinax,
at like
Young, Homa.
Those are the 4 guys. Leaves like 14-8 to finish off the rest of your lineup for cash. And I feel good about this one, a lot better than last week. So I like the other guys I do like down here. Like I said, I like Riley. Luke List has the course record. Something to think about. The guy has the course record on this course. I bet him at like 150-1. I don't know why the hell not. The guy has a course record. He's familiar. Who knows? Ryan Palmer, another guy that I like with his length and his prowess. He knows what to do around these type of greens. These type of greens, you see him a lot in Texas with those roll-off areas where you got to just put it up there, Texas wedge it. He's familiar with that. I like Ryan Palmer. Going down a little bit more, Harris English is top 15 in birdies are better gained in this field in the last 12 rounds. Something to think about. Very, very cheap down here. And Gary Woodland, I don't know if I'm going to play him, but goddamn, that price is low, right? What do you think about Gary?
Yeah, I love Gary. I bet him actually. So definitely hit on Gary. Also, Ryan Palmer, 17th, 4th, and 2nd in 3 of his last 6 tries at the Honda Classic. So put him in your Honda pile as well. Another guy that fits it, but
if our Honda guys do this well, we just created the fucking narrative. You know what I'm saying? Because this is only the second time this course has ever happened. And this course has never
making
been
it up as we go, but I like it. So I'm with it. I've been playing Wyndham Clark. Webb is down here, by the way, but I've been playing Wyndham Clark, so I'm going to stick with that. Alex Smalley, another guy that I like. Woodland, who I love, talked about him already. I bet him. And then I think that was it. Yeah, John, what do you think about John Huh? He showed up for a little bit last week. Any love for him?
Yeah, no, I think if I want to go down that low, where's Huh at? What's his price?
62.
62. I like Lee Hodges at 63.
63. I probably would like him better too.
Really good iron play, really good, well above, excellent from 175 to 200. And, right around the field average from 200 plus, for this guy. He's had some decent finishes here, top 25s, top 30s in the fall swing. I don't mind a little bit of Lee Hodges if we're going to go way low.
Got it.
All right, bets. I'll go ahead and start this week. Rom, 9-1. Basically, my week is revolving around the Spaniard. If he does well, it's going to be a good week. If he wins, it's going to be an excellent week. I can tell you that right now. So Rom 9-1, Cam Young 35-1. Fleetwood 80-1. I had to do it. FOMO. And then 2 long shots. Giuseppe 130-1. Luke List 150-1. But really, it's all about Rom all day. Vamos. That's all I got to say.
I like it. Yeah, I only had 4. Now I have 5, but they're longer shots because my first point I was going to say is our guy filled in last week. Again, appreciate Baroff as always, but he hit me up today. I think there is some double opportunities out there, some doubles opportunities, I should say, with Rory and Rom, because I really do feel like one of them closes it and gets the job done here. So that's why I don't feel great about putting a big betting card out, because I really like those two. He's talking me into Rasmus Højgaard over on the DP World Tour event, but then some guys like his brother, Nicholas. So I don't know what I'm doing yet. Nicholas, I forget how he says it, but the other Højgaard brother. So debating the doubles. I may just go double Højgaards with Rory Rom, hope that Rory or Rom win it, and hope that one of the brothers win it. I'm probably talking myself into that now too. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. But I had Wise 55, Cam Davis 80, Keith Mitchell 90. I just added Riley at 100, and I had Woodland at 125. All of those are with 8 places. So I started at 55. I'm going to add the double, and that's going to be it for this week, Kenny. I think that's all I got.
Yeah, I got like, so with those 5 bets, I spent like $170 something on those 5 bets. So those 5 bets to win in 1,000 for if I win. So that leaves me $30 to spend for the rest of the week. I'll probably save that for either live betting or matchups. Or
yeah, just don't spend it on more gushers and edibles and other shit.
Yeah, no shit, right? And you know what? This is a great fucking show. Do you feel that? Sometimes when you do this for so long, like in the middle of the show, like, it's sometimes hard to bring all the juice in the fall. You know what I'm saying? You can't blame us on that. We don't get as many viewers, and the fields are shittier, and you're burnt out from doing this week in and week out every fucking week for 8 fucking years, right? And and then sometimes when the show is fucking good, and I felt like this show is really fucking good.
I told you it was going to be good right off the top.
So hopefully you listeners enjoy this one out there. And let's win some motherfucking money. Degen Nation, vamos Rom!
I've been getting dirty money, Jordan Belfort, stacking penny stocks while I'm flipping these birds, sipping on Ciroc, trip 'em up with the words. I done popped the Molly and I think it's be my third.